Well, good morning, everybody. It's me, Mitch. And I am here this morning to talk to you about me again. I titled this video, I haven't eaten a carbohydrate, a fruit or vegetable or grain or seed oil in over 2 years. And this happened to me. And I'm going to talk to you while I cook my breakfast. And my breakfast is, what a surprise. My breakfast is going to be bacon and eggs. Now, I have really gotten through that load of eggs that I had, but I'm doing this video kind of as an introduction to so many of the new subscribers and viewers I have that really aren't familiar with my story. But not just for the new people. I'm doing this for so many, too many, as a matter of fact, of my subscribers, members of my private community, loyal followers, and great friends of me and my efforts to try to do some small part to help fix this incredibly stupid problem that we have. The problem of being fiercely addicted to carbohydrates, and the fact that that addiction sabotages us, I think, more than any other addiction sabotages any effort to fix it and sustain life without that particular substance that you're addicted to. And I don't care if that's alcohol, drugs, whatever. And the reason I'm doing this is to try to hit home the point that no matter how hard you think it might be to kick alcohol or drugs, that a sugar addiction is so much more powerful and has such a greater hold on you than those other two, even though in our society we don't talk about it much. We don't consider it an addiction at all. We consider those foods healthy because they don't contain meat or fat. Wow. So, the reason that I say this applies to so many of you who already know me, who already know my history, who've been following me for quite a while, is that very few of you, an alarmingly small number of you, can say what I can say or have been able to accomplish, what I've been able to accomplish, even though you consider yourself carnivores. You've been mostly successful, but you cannot stop. You cannot stop occasionally falling off of that wagon. And fortunately, those of you who are still around and still participating and still have a burning desire to experience the good health will climb right back on the wagon. But let's explore why it is that you fall off the wagon at all. And even more importantly than that, why you can't control those urges no matter how much you want to. You have to understand addiction. You have to understand how it works. I've explained it many times, but you have to do that. But most importantly, I don't care if you've been on carnivore for 6 months. So many of you haven't actually been on it for more than 30 consecutive days, even though you've been doing carnivore for years. But at least once in that 30-day period, you have fallen off the wagon. You have succumbed to some fruit or some cake with the mental idea that, well, this one time won't hurt me. That have lost the negotiation with your subconscious mind when it's feeding you these lame excuses why it's okay for you just this once to fall off the wagon and we'll start again tomorrow. That was the story of my life for 75 years. Always had a burning desire to be low carb. Always lost the negotiations with my subconscious mind. And it wasn't until I managed to stay on that wagon for an extended period of time that my subconscious mind finally learned and finally got used to the fact that I didn't need this sugar or carbohydrates. And when I say sugar and carbohydrates, I am using those terms interchangeably. All bread, all pasta, all potatoes, all fruit, all vegetables are sugar. They are sugars, they are carbohydrates. The only food that you can eat that are not carbohydrates are protein and fat. Even dairy contains carbohydrates. Now, eggs and meat do contain trace amounts of carbohydrates, but those don't trigger addictions. We don't think about those, count those, or worry about those. At least I don't. So my problem had always been, yeah, I could stick to any diet, but I kept falling off the wagon because I lost the negotiation with my subconscious mind. It always was able to con me into eating that stuff because it wanted its sugar and wouldn't be denied. There's so many things that trigger addictions, especially anything that tastes sweet, especially a version of an addictive food made with artificial sweeteners or nut flours that may not have carbohydrates in it enough to trigger an addiction, but the introduction of that food itself triggers the addiction. Eating a sandwich, I don't care if the bread has 0 carbs. Your subconscious knows it's eating bread. It also knows that there's something missing from this bread and that you're fooling it, and it's not going to put up with that. And it won't be long before you have to have some of that real bread. You can't fool your subconscious mind, and you can't go against it when it wants something, because it is in charge of you. It controls your thoughts. It controls your movements. It puts you in your car at 3 o'clock in the morning, headed to that all-night drugstore to get that sugar that you thought you were so clever about. If you accept that fact of what I just said, you're a long way towards being able to stay in the wagon for an extended period of time. And here's the magic. While you stay in the wagon for an extended period of time, your subconscious will finally learn and get the message. It will get the message that this sugar that it thought it needed, because it was your primary fuel, is not that important, and it will relax and stop hounding you. But you must avoid all carbohydrates This is what I've learned, and this is what worked for me. You must pay your dues. Fight it. And you fight it by eating meat and fat when you're hungry, when you get a craving. I know I say to do that in the first 30 days, but if it takes 60 days, always have food, always have it ready to eat. Do not let yourself get hungry. And when you stop getting hungry, the cravings will stop. And if that takes 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, we're different in that respect. It takes a while. Depends on how long you've relied on sugar as a primary fuel. And I talk about this over and over again. We can only store 1 day's worth of sugar. When our sugar levels start to get low, our subconscious panics that we're going to die. And its imperative is to stuff sugar into our mouths so it can live another day. And it does this 6, 8, 10 times a day to you if you allow yourself to get hungry and for a craving to develop. So whether you're brand new to this, or whether you've been at this for a while, mostly successful, but still unable to stop falling off the wagon occasionally, this is why. Now, excuse me while I beat my eggs. Thank you. Time to flip the bacon. Got about a half a pound here of Wright's extra thick bacon. God, is it great. I haven't eaten since 3:30 yesterday afternoon. I'm still not really all that hungry. I haven't eaten a carbohydrate in 2 years, 1 month, and 15 days. But who's counting? What it's done to me. It's cured all my health problems. At 77 years old, it's got me thinking more clearly than I ever have in my life. It took away my rheumatoid arthritis. It normalized my blood pressure. It controls virtually every function of my body. It's not poisoned. My body is not poisoned by any of the stuff that are in plants because I haven't eaten not a leaf of lettuce in over 2 years. These kind of results are very, very common, especially if you can do whatever is necessary to not, even if it's only occasionally, not fall off the wagon. And we have to compare ourselves to other addictive substances. If an alcoholic has even one drink, he resets that addiction back to square one. When a carb addict falls off the wagon, you are really resetting that dependence on sugar back to square one, and it will never be easy. If you're a severe carb addict, and again, I'm not talking to those of you who are not severe carb addicts, but don't fool yourself. Most of you are, like I was. I'm not accusing you of anything other than being a victim of having been fed a lifetime of carbohydrates. The rules that I have made for 30 days starting a carnivore diet are: throw the scale away. It's not about weight loss. Whenever you're hungry or you get an inkling of a craving or the thoughts of sugar plum fairies dance in your head, eat meat and fat, protein and fat. Don't just take a bite. Eat until satiety sets in. You'll find that if you keep doing this, after a reasonable length of time, you will find those cravings have gone completely, and you now view with disgust all the stuff that you couldn't resist before. It happened to me about 6 months in. The cravings were completely gone, but it got so much easier after the first month or two. And I overcame what would have sabotaged me by always having some bacon, hamburger patties, or something close at hand. If I left the house, I took some with me in a Ziploc bag. Always being able to quash that hunger before those cravings could take over and call my body under its control to action, which usually meant a shopping trip somewhere to get something with sugar or carbs in it. That's what works. That's the only thing I found that works for a severe carb addict. Just like total and complete abstinence for life is the only thing that works for a severe alcoholic. I think there are a lot more severe carb addicts in this country. In fact, it's not even close, than severe alcoholics or severe drug users of cocaine and heroin. The rules for curing carb addiction, for putting it completely in remission, have to be stricter than those rules that we readily accept for the other types of substance abuse. Everybody knows that an alcoholic can't drink ever again. Everybody knows that a cocaine or heroin user cannot ever, not ever have another taste of that. But for some reason, we carbohydrate addicts think, well, it's okay. Just this one time. I won't do it again. I'll start again tomorrow. And even if we can start again tomorrow, we have reset everything back to near square one. And that becomes a lifelong battle. A lifelong battle to achieve what I call food freedom, which is what I enjoy, and so many other carnivores that have been faithful and true to it. That's my message. What is carnivore? What has living 2 years without a single gram of plant matter, fiber, starch, sugar, or any of those things done to me? It has saved my life. It has made me young again. At 77, I feel better than I did at 30. I hope that I've hammered this into your head enough that you'll think twice the next time that craving hits you, or somebody is waving something tempting in your face and giving you the logic that it's not going to kill you. It's not going to hurt you, not just once. It's like telling an alcoholic, oh, just go ahead, have one drink. It won't hurt you. And with that action, you may have ended that alcoholic's 5-year struggle to stay sober. Your intentions might have been good, tempting them, but the harm you've done is incalculable. When somebody tells you that, when somebody tells you it's okay, when your own brain tells you it's okay, grab a burger patty, grab something, start stuffing your face, eat until you don't want to eat anymore. That's not the way you're going to have to live your life, but it is the way that you're going to have to spend a month, 2 or 3, until your subconscious learns. Not only can you live without that stuff it thought you couldn't, but that you will be healthier, happier, have more energy. it's worth it. It's worth it. I wish I could say all this in a 4-minute video. It just takes time. Just takes time. So think hard and long about that. And I'm going to eat my breakfast. And while you're thinking, enjoy the rest of the day off and eat meat.